back to the channel. This is going to be my review for my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, Avengers Infinity War. I love this movie. I think it's the best of the Avengers movies. I think it's the best of the Marvel movies so far. It just has everything that I really love. So the movie opens up with the destruction of the ship that Thor and the Asgardians were on at the end of Thor Ragnarok. And then the Marvel credits are kind of mostly silent, but then like they're playing this like distress call over the credits, which is kind of cool. And then so the movie kind of just jumps right into it. We meet Thanos, we meet his 4 followers, Ebony Maw, and then Corvus Glaive, and Proxima Midnight, and Cole Obsidian. And Ebony Maw's kind of cool. He kind of like gives these speeches like when they're about to kill people about like how everybody should be grateful for even in death they are children of Thanos, and he also has like these cool telekinesis powers, so he's kind of like the coolest one even though they kill him off first, and he's definitely the most interesting. And then you got the female one, Proxima Midnight, and then the goblin looking guy, Corvus Glaive, and then their sort of version of the Hulk, Cole Obsidian, who doesn't like really do much, but like this opening scene with Thanos like really kind of shows like how powerful he is and everything, and what a big threat he's going to be in the movie. So Thanos starts the movie already having the Power Stone, which we learn he got when they destroyed Xandar, which the Guardians saved in the first movie. So he has the Power Stone, and then Thanos fights Hulk, and he wins, which kind of sends Hulk on this whole Hulk and Banner on this character arc of Hulk doesn't want to come out no more because he's kind of like, he's scared because he lost for the first time. Thanos wants the Space Stone, the Tesseract, which Loki stole in Thor Ragnarok, and so Thanos kills Loki to get the Tesseract, and then Heimdall sends Hulk and Banner to Earth, so Thanos kills Heimdall for that. But for some reason Thanos decides to leave Thor alive. He doesn't kill Thor. I guess he just assumes the explosion and space will eventually kill Thor. But obviously it doesn't. The Guardians come across him and rescue him. So it's a really interesting opening that kind of just like sets up the destruction and devastation of what's to come in this movie. It's not your typical lighthearted, fun-filly Avengers film. It's definitely a little darker and a little bit more, there's a lot more loss happening. So, but I really like this opening too. And then so Banner literally crashes into the Doctor Strange and Wong, and so we get another explanation for the Infinity Stones and what they are and everything. And then I just love having Tony Stark and Doctor Strange team up. I think they kind of have a very similar vibe, but are still very different characters, and you kind of see how they play off each other, which is a lot of fun. And then you throw Spider-Man into the mix when they get on the spaceship, and then later on you throw the Guardians into the mix. And I really like seeing, one of the things I like about this movie is seeing the different team-ups of putting people in different teams that we don't normally see them in this movie, and also Endgame does it as well. And I really like that, just seeing these characters who come from very different parts of the MCU. They come together in this movie, and it's just really a lot of fun seeing them all interact together. And then I really like this little fight scene we have in New York at the beginning. Banner can't get the Hulk to come out because after getting beat by Thanos, Hulk is scared because he's never lost a fight, so he refuses to come out for the whole movie. It's a character arc that will get sort of a conclusion in Endgame, but we miss the whole middle part, which this is kind of, this is where I start to lose interest in the Hulk Banner character. I thought he was best used in the first Avengers movie. He was used well in the second Avengers movie. And Hulk was used really good, I think, in Ragnarok. And then this movie, they kind of just, they don't know what to do with Hulk and Banner. And you could tell. And so in Endgame, we just kind of jump. But it is kind of an interesting thing for Hulk to feel defeated. But we're not going to touch on any of what that means. So it's kind of a missed opportunity with the Hulk. And I think even the directors kind of said they just didn't know what to do with him. But I wish we would have got a little bit more. But anyway, so the distress call from the beginning of the movie, the Guardians picked it up, and now they've rescued Thor. And I really just love the reaction that they all have to Thor. Like, Star-Lord's just like trying not to be very impressed, but like Drax and Gamora are like fawning over him, and he's like a pirate and an angel had a baby, and his muscles and everything. So I just love Thor meeting up with the Guardians, and then also just teaming up with Rocket and Groot. I think that trio makes a really good team in this movie. And I love that Thor keeps calling Rocket Rabbit. It's kind of a funny joke. I do like seeing the Guardians kind of split up a little bit, and we're getting these different team ups. Rocket and Groot go with Thor, and then the rest of the Guardians will eventually meet up with Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Spider-Man. So the Guardians go off to nowhere, which is from the first Guardians movie, because the Collector has the Reality Stone that we saw from Thor: The Dark World at the end credits. So this movie kind of reminds you about like where all of these Infinity Stones have been throughout the MCU, but you kind of like need to remember, oh yeah, I remember when that stone was in this movie. So it's kind of fun. And then so they end up confronting Thanos, and we get like this illusion of the Collector, only to realize that Thanos already has the Reality Stone. And then so he captures Gamora because she's the only one that knows where the location of the Soul Stone is. And that's the last stone that we've now been introduced in the MCU, is the Soul Stone. I like this little brief scene of the Collector. I wish we would get more from the Collector in the MCU. I think Benicio del Toro gives this kind of erratic, over-the-top, crazy performance, but it's a lot of fun, and I would love to see him and the Grandmaster team up. So I wish they would have done more with those two characters. But then, so I like that with each new stone that Thanos gets, he immediately like uses that stone to demonstrate the powers of the individual stones before he uses them all at the end for the snap. With the exception of the Soul Stone, I don't know what that individual power is, but here he uses the Reality Stone to trick the Guardians. In the beginning, he used the Power Stone, and then once he got the Space Stone, he used that stone, and then when he gets the Time Stone, he'll immediately use the Time Stone. So I really kind of like just like showing us what each stone does. And then we catch up with Wanda and Vision on vacation in Scotland, and we learn that they're together romantically, which is something that was kind of hinted at, or they were starting to hint at Civil War, but now we've just jumped into it. They're just together. And I really liked this fight scene that we get in Scotland. I love Wanda versus Proxima Midnight and Vision versus Corvus Glaive. I just love Wanda's powers, and I love how she uses them. And this is a great fight scene. And then we get an awesome entrance for Captain America, which is like, I just love this shot of Captain coming out of the shadows and catching the weapon. Like, that's just so badass. And then I love Cap standing up to General Ross saying, "We'll fight you too." And there's not a whole lot of Cap in this movie, but like everything he's in is just like, I just love it. I love this version of Cap. I like the suit. I like the beard. It's a little more grizzled. And I think it's just a lot of fun. And like I said, I just love that entrance. And then so we go to Wakanda, and Bucky gets a new arm. He gets the vibranium upgrade. And it's kind of a smart way to bring in Black Panther and Wakanda, since that was the movie that just came out before Infinity War. And it's nice to catch up with these characters. Like, Okoye continues to be a great character with some great lines. I love the line, she's like, "Why was she up there all this time?" That's a lot of fun. And then we get like Wakanda helping them fight on the battlefield. So I like that we're continuing to build up the Black Panther Wakanda side of the MCU also in this movie, and that's just really cool. Shuri gets to be smart, Okoye gets to be fast. We don't have Nakia here though. She's probably off being a spy somewhere, but we get a little bit of M'Baku, which is also cool. So yeah, I like going to Wakanda and catching up with them. So we jump back to Gamora and Thanos, and we learn that Thanos captured Nebula after she almost tried to kill Thanos. And we don't get a whole lot of Nebula in this movie. We'll get a lot of Nebula in Endgame. But what we do get here is really great. Like, I love that we build off of that sisterhood that Nebula and Gamora came to and earned at the end of Guardians 2. And it's actually kind of a heartbreaking scene, but like when Nebula's like being tortured and like pulled apart, she still shakes her head no to Gamora to tell her, don't tell Thanos the location of the Soul Stone. Like, don't, like, I'm in pain and this hurts, but don't tell him. Like, I'm willing to sacrifice myself for that. But of course, Gamora can't, and so she tells Thanos. And this kind of goes back to the beginning of the film, where Thanos does something similar to Thor. He starts torturing Thor, and at first Loki's like, okay, that's fine, but then Loki gives in, and he gives Thanos the Space Stone. So it's kind of a theme in this movie of like watching your loved ones being tortured, and like how much can you take of that before you just have to do anything to stop it, even including giving Thanos the stones. You know, it's a question, you know, and also, you know, something similar between Wanda and Vision later on. It's like, you know, you don't want to see the people that you love being put through that kind of torture, and you don't want to feel responsible for that either. So it's kind of a good theme. And then later on, Vision tells Cap, you know, one life cannot stand in the way of defeating Thanos. And in a way, he's kind of right, because had Loki just let Thor die, you know, or had Gamora just let Nebula die, then Thanos wouldn't have gotten the rest of the stones. You know, if Wanda just destroyed the stone from Vision and let Vision die, you know, Thanos wouldn't have won. But, you know, it's our emotional connections to the people that we love that make the world worth living. And Cap says, you know, we don't trade lives. You know, if there's a chance of saving Vision and beating Thanos, then we have to take that chance. And so it's kind of a big theme of this movie. It's a little bit muddled. It's not super clear, but I still think it's a really good theme. And then also we get a great scene between Rocket and Thor, where Thor kind of talks about how much he's lost. And it reminds us that, like, yeah, Thor is this fun, you know, jovial action character a lot of the times, but really he has suffered a great loss throughout the MCU. And he's still willing to do whatever it takes to defeat Thanos because, like he says, he has nothing else to lose. So it's a really great emotional scene, and I think this is one of the best versions, I think, of Thor in the MCU. Ragnarok, this, and then Endgame, I think, is a great kind of Thor arc. And I like that, you know, it's Rocket that he's able to kind of connect with. And then also I love the moment where Groot finally puts down the video game and makes the handle for Stormbreaker also, so just to save Thor. So I love everything we get with Thor in here also as well. And then the death scene of Gamora, I'm going to be honest, I cry every time. Gamora's not even one of my favorite characters, but she's used very well in this movie, and Zoe Saldana does a great job with the performance, and just the way the scene is shot and the music, I can't help it. It makes me cry every time. I just feel so bad for Gamora. And, you know, it's also a scene that sort of tries to humanize Thanos for us, because knowing that he really did love Gamora as a daughter, but he's willing to pay the price for this mission, and in the end he says, you know, it costs him everything. So it's a way to kind of like give us some sympathy for Thanos a little bit, but I just think the way it's shot, it gets me. It's so heartbreaking. It's a really great scene. But we also get a flashback of young Gamora and how Thanos took her after killing half of her home planet, including her parents. And then he says a line to her when he gives her that little knife. He says, you know, it's perfectly balanced as all things should be, which is kind of a line that my husband and I quote like all the time. Like, I don't know, we just kind of randomly pull that line out. We'll be like, perfectly balanced as all things should be, or something of that variation. So this movie has a lot of really good quotes that I quote a lot. And so those are a lot of fun lines in here that you can quote from this movie. And then we get Guardians teaming up with Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man on the planet Titan, which is Thanos' home planet. And I just love this fun dynamic between them. And, you know, they all tried to get the gauntlet from Thanos after he finally gets the Soul Stone. And I like the fight scene between Thanos and Doctor Strange, and then Thanos and Iron Man, the one-on-one fight scenes. I like the fight scene between Doctor Strange. You can tell how powerful Doctor Strange is. He can hold his own for a while, and he does a lot of cool magic tricks. And, you know, I do love Iron Man taking on Thanos one-on-one. Shows how powerful that new Iron Man suit is. But I also like it because it's showing that, you know, the evolution of Tony Stark, like how far he's come on this journey throughout the MCU. He's willing, even though he's just Iron Man, right? He's not Thor, the power of the gods, or enhanced super soldier serum, or mystical arts, or anything. He's just got an Iron Man suit, but he's willing to do whatever he can to take on Thanos and sacrifice himself if there's a shot of defeating Thanos. And so I really kind of like that. It's a really good scene that makes me really like Iron Man. It proves that he is a true hero after all. And, he's willing to sacrifice his life with Pepper, in order to stop Thanos from killing half the universe. And then another great line, all that for a drop of blood. But of course, Doctor Strange then hands over the Time Stone in order to save Tony's life. Even though earlier in the movie, Doctor Strange told Tony that he would not hesitate to let Tony die in order to save the Time Stone. But after seeing the multiple outcomes, 6 billion, whatever, he realizes that the only way to stop Thanos is to give the Time Stone over to save Tony, because that puts them in the end game, which is the next movie. But then we get back to Wakanda, and I just love Thor's entrance into Wakanda. It's like one of the best shots in the MCU. You have the Avengers music swelling, and it just is awesome. And he says, "Bring me Thanos," and he's got Stormbreaker, and it looks awesome. He's got his new lightning powers from Thor Ragnarok, so I really love that entrance. And he's got Rocket and Groot with him. And it just gets you pumped for the movie, right? So I love the Avengers. And I love when Wanda comes onto the field and, kind of uses her magic and takes out Proxima Midnight. And then we get Bruce in the Hulkbuster armor, which is kind of a little too jokey, but it's okay. He ends up taking out Cole Obsidian in the end, so that's kind of cool. And then I do love Cap introducing himself to Groot, where he says, "I am Steve Rogers." That's great, because he doesn't know that Groot only says, "I am Groot." So I think that's pretty funny. And, I like the little exchange between Thor and Cap. It was great. And then, also, though, when Thanos does arrive in Wakanda, where's Thor? All the other characters are trying to fight Thanos one-on-one. Where the heck is Thor? If you just had Thor in there and you all try to fight Thanos together, maybe you could have won, But, they could have had a chance, but, Thor should have gone for the head. Because I remember seeing this in theaters, and I was just so shocked when everybody just started dusting. And I was like, oh my god, this is really how they're going to end the movie? And even though it's kind of a long movie, I was just like, I need to see more of this. So it's kind of a shocking ending. But of course we know they're all coming back, but it's still really sad to see them dust. It's really sad. Especially I was really shocked that Black Panther died. I thought he was Okoye was gonna die, but then he reaches out and he dusts, and that was kind of shocking. So it is a tragic ending for our heroes, but it makes for a really good story and sets up what we need them to do in Endgame. So this is definitely my favorite of the MCU movies. It's just got so much great fun, so much good action, so many great moments and character interactions, some really good emotional beats, at least for me, and it just got so many great quotes. I just love watching this movie. I can watch it, I don't know how many times I've seen it. It's a little long, but if you watch it in parts, it's fine. But yeah, there's just so many good, you just jump from great scene to great scene to great scene. And so yeah, for me, this is my favorite of the MCU. I love Avengers Infinity War. So sorry for the long review, but there's just a lot of really great stuff in here. So that's it for my review of Avengers Infinity War. I just love it so much. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more Marvel content. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, we're in the end game now. Bye.